are now entering an unfiltered news and politics zone. With the Breeze Bullies, Jug and Jefé Tha Don.
Yes, y'all. We back.
Oh yeah, we're back.
Man.
What a week.
What a fucking week. I'm cursing already, man. I'm sorry about that, man. But
yeah, this
shit.
we purposely decided to wait until the dust settled, because trust me, we were up election night and we were like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning talking about this thing,
trying to figure out what the fuck was going on.
And I was like, man, we were so riled up we couldn't even have like a good podcast because the energy was just way too high.
Yeah, we had to wait because we were really turned up.
Yeah, so we're gonna get into it. This one might be a little longer than normal.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
So there's a lot to unpack. If you're new to the podcast, welcome to the Breeze Bullies podcast. I am your host, Jug
Jefé Tha Don,
and we're here to pressure your perspectives as it relates to news, politics, social events,
indeed,
entertainment, etc. If you haven't already, just make sure you jump on that breezebullies.com, right, to check out where all of our news and information is sourced.
Good stuff.
And we're going to get into this.
We're here. We're everywhere.
The selection, man.
The election, 2020.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's just we're still in shock about how this unfolded. We are, they were warning. There were warning signs about this was coming.
So even before we jump into it, so unless you've been sleeping under a rock.
Indeed.
If you've been sleeping under a rock and you don't know what the heck's going on, right now, the media is saying that Joseph Biden is the quote-unquote president-elect.
President-elect.
So, let's talk about that.
Joe Biden, Obama's former right-hand man, former vice president. And where do we begin? I mean, first of all, they elected, the media said Joe Biden the president-elect. Joe Biden is running mate Kamala Harris. And they're also saying that Joe Biden acquired more votes than the first black president, Barack Obama. Right. How is this even possible?
For someone who didn't even campaign.
He didn't even campaign. We're talking about near empty rallies. Biden calling lids before noon, going back home to have tea or some shit. I don't know what the fuck he was doing.
This is for a candidate that we know no one liked.
Yeah.
This is a candidate that was basically selected by the establishment that you guys had to rally behind. Yeah. So I already know based off of that information that for him to quote unquote have more votes than the first black president ever.
Yeah, that's we're calling bullshit on that.
We're calling bullshit on that.
Calling straight bullshit.
And we're going to be calling a lot of bullshit on a lot of different things today. But the difference with our bullshit is that we're going to be reading certain reports that you are not or have not heard, probably because the media just wants to run with this narrative of him being the president-elect. Now, part of the reason why we have a problem with that, and the reason why I think it's very irresponsible for the media to say that he's the president-elect, is because some of the wins are within that 1% margin that trigger recounts.
Indeed.
Off top, right? So anything that triggers a recount puts those electoral votes or whatever, etc. You can't call it for anyone because those things are in dispute.
And this is happening in several states. It's happening in several states.
So we're talking about Georgia, we're talking about Michigan, and there are maybe one or two more states that have, razor thin margins that automatically supposed to trigger recounts.
I think Arizona may not be a recount per se, but I think they may be heading in that direction.
And then we're not even talking about the lawsuits, right? All the lawsuits are going to be basically administered come tomorrow, which is Monday.
A lot of litigation.
Based on instances of not small instances of voter fraud, but large instances of voter fraud, inconsistencies, inaccuracies. And you're already starting to see where computer glitches and computer errors are flipping certain results in certain counties and states.
Exactly. They're finding evidence by the boatload with the media keeps telling everybody, oh, there's no evidence of fraud. No, there's plenty of evidence of fraud. It's coming in by the boatload. We're talking about thousands of tips. And just to get you up to speed, I would implore everyone to go look up James O'Keefe and Project Veritas, pardon me. Go take a look. Go take a look at his site. You're going to see, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. You're going to see undercover video, audio, postal workers that are manipulating ballot deliveries.
Yep.
You know, talking about defrauding the vote.
Talking about backdating votes.
Backdating ballots.
Right. So
this is real.
So it's an orchestrated and very, remember when your man had the slip the other day when he said that he put together the largest voter fraud network in the country, right?
We thought he misspoke.
I thought it was a joke, you know. But what's starting to come out, and if you do go to Project Veritas, and Project Veritas has so many different videos as it relates to it. You have the postal workers. You have apparently the postal workers are in cahoots with the whole thing, which you know it's telling to me that's really like a criminal network, like to have the Postal Service backdating ballots to make them valid.
Exactly.
So you got stuff like that going on. Then you got the horrible maintenance of voter rolls for dead people,
dead inactive voters.
Yeah,
the rolls have been the voter rolls have been dirty in many states for a long time. I will say, people may or may not be familiar with Tom Fitton. He heads up an organization called Judicial Watch. They've been instrumental in filing litigation to try to clean up voter rolls in different states. They've made a lot of progress, but still a lot to clean up. So dirty voter rolls, inactive voters, ineligible voters, dead voters. These are the folks that should not be on voter rolls.
Yeah. And if you check some of these folks who are deceased to see if they've voted, you'll see that they've actively voted in the election.
They've been getting reports of that as well. The deceased have been voting. The living dead, they're voting.
You have a lot of instances of voter fraud. Don't let the media tell you that there's not enough evidence. It's kind of like the talking point that he never condemns white supremacy when they talk about Trump, right? And then you have like a video with 20 or 30 instances where he's condemning it.
He's condemning it.
But they keep saying that he didn't.
Because they're not trying to cover it, really.
So it's the same thing. So they're going to say there's no evidence of voter fraud. Even though if you go on Project Veritas' site, you'll see dozens of videos that to the contrary. So those things are going to be ignored because they're not considered, quote unquote, mainstream media. Anyone that's not associated with the big networks, these things are not going to come up in your search engines. Google's going to censor them. Facebook is going to put tags under them. So there's going to be so many different things to tell you that this stuff is either not valid or not real, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
But I'm going to go on and I'm going to say on record, and I'm going to say this. From what we're seeing that there are probably issues with fraud well into hundreds of thousands of votes.
Hundreds of thousands.
Right? Which can possibly tilt the election.
Tilt the entire election.
So the issue that I have is that the media now is calling, Joe Biden the president-elect, and it has one side, basically cheering in the streets. The other side now, in our situation where, if you voted for Trump, they're not rioting, right? They're not burning down buildings. They're not doing any of that,
it's
right?
A small protest.
So they may be having protests, but they're having them peacefully. They're not out here going crazy. The question is, if it flips back to Trump's favor, right? Going through the courts, and after the media has irresponsibly, put the narrative out there that he's the president-elect, because they shouldn't have noted it as such because everything is contested. Mm-hmm. So they shouldn't have done that. So now you got one side that's probably going to watch everything tilt to the other direction in time. Mm-hmm. How are you guys going to be able to satiate that kind of civil unrest that's going to come behind that?
Exactly. And people need to understand this as well, that what the media is doing is a psychological operation. It is a psyop. You know, they're fully aware they're acting irresponsibly by declaring a winner before everything is counted, recounted, and tabulated. Nothing is final until the states turn in their certified results. These results have not been certified by the states.
And they're far from being certified.
Far from it. So the media knows they're acting irresponsibly, but the reason why they're on this crusade to declare Biden and Kamala Harris as the winner is because, firstly, it's designed to demoralize and suppress. So what do you mean by that? You know, if you voted for Trump, Republicans, and I'm constantly telling you that your side lost, even though all the results aren't in, Joe Biden's the winner, Joe Biden's the winner, Joe Biden's the winner. When you have runoff elections that occur, what's going to happen?
You're not going to vote.
You may not. You're not going to vote. You think it's over. It's a done deal. So you just throw up your hands and walk away. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to make you throw up your hands and walk away. It's also designed to influence coming litigation, because from the looks of it, this is gonna wind up in the Supreme Court.
Right.
And so the media wants to be able to say, hey, potentially, hypothetically, that it's contrary to the public interest for this election to flip back to Trump, because we've already declared Biden and Harris the winner. So you see what's going on here?
Right. So you basically wind up putting unnecessary pressure on the Supreme Court to basically maybe not vote on the merits of the case, but now try to vote in the thoughts of public interest.
Yeah, you want to guilt them into departing from the letter of the law by saying, the public interest. So this is a very carefully crafted and devised plan that these guys have. But I will say this: if this vote tilts back to Trump, it's going to be hell on earth with the way the other side is going to react. It's going to be hell on earth. Right. You know, so the looting, the burning, that's all going to start up again. And they're ready to do that. They were ready to do that before.
Right.
So that's what's going to happen. And I also want to stress that, look, it doesn't matter if you voted for Biden or Trump. People have to understand this, especially this is what we're talking about. That's what the bullies are talking about here. We're talking about election integrity.
Yep.
Election integrity. It doesn't matter how you voted, you know, but if we cannot trust our system
and process,
then we are a banana republic. And we cannot be a banana republic.
Right. Not as being the strongest nation in the world.
Exactly. We are arguably the only global superpower. We cannot look like this. We cannot conduct ourselves this way, you know.
But, you know, to me, the groundwork was being laid, right? The president has been talking about voter fraud for months, if not years, right? And if you guys remember, they were asking him questions. Well, if you lose, will it be a transition, an easy transition to power? And he'd always say, "No, I have no problem. There'll be an easy transition to power as long as we have a free and fair election." Exactly, right? And he's always said that. And I guess what that's always been is with him warning the other side, like, listen, we're on to you. We know what you guys doing, right? Don't try to pull it in the general election, right? Like, like that's really,
so don't take it there.
Don't take it there. Like it was almost like that warning shot, like, hey, we know what's going on. We need you to kind of just pull back on it. But from what from my vantage point, it looks like, you know, the thing with Joe Biden and, you know, that whole laptop from hell and all of that is that he creates a huge and horrible exposure to what goes on in Washington as far as corruption.
Exactly. And there's a total and continuing media blackout on that.
Right. So from their vantage point, they cannot afford to lose because it blows the lid off of everything that's been happening over the last several decades. And I can understand one side saying, "Hey, we got to win. It all stops, so this can all go away."
Exactly. This is about protecting a corrupt establishment.
Yeah.
And so they need to come back in, take over, sweep everything under the rug.
Yep.
And make all investigations go away. That's what they need to happen. So they're fighting tooth and nail to get back in there. And for those that are still in doubt about the real outcome of this election, consider this. The media declares that Trump lost this election. Now, remember our downstate ballots for the House and Senate. The Republicans gained seats. They did incredibly well.
Right.
The Republicans, as it stands right now, have held the Senate, increased the House numbers as well, and the House representatives. They didn't lose anything.
Right.
So, as you can see, the two don't reconcile. How does the president lose the election and Republicans gain
in the House,
and
maintain the Senate,
It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. It's foolishness. It's foolishness.
Now, some would say, the Republicans just wanted the Senate and the House to change, but wanted to flip the presidency.
Oh yeah, it's a referendum on the man. No.
That doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense at all.
We don't vote for, if anything, you don't vote for it at all, but you don't cast your vote for the other side.
Exactly. That's not how it works. So there's a real danger here with everything that's occurred. We talked about this before. The risk to our democratic republic is a destruction of the institutional norms that have kept this country running for centuries.
Yeah. Century.
That's what's at stake here. That's what's at stake. The Democrats, they already have plans for if and when they take over in January. They want to destroy the Senate filibuster that would give the minority party, who does not have the majority, a voice, so they can still work in a bipartisan fashion. They want to get rid of that. They want to get rid of it. They want to federalize the elections and tamper with how elections are conducted on a federal level. They want to take your tax dollars so it can go toward candidates you don't even support. So they want to rig they want to rig the rules of the game if they get in control. And that's what we have a problem with. We can't have that.
Talking about stacking the court.
We're
not talking about them wanting to remove the Electoral College.
Exactly.
So what we're looking at is the fabric of America being uprooted in one single election cycle.
Being torn apart at the seams.
Right. So that's really what's in danger. We're not talking about the other policies. We're not talking about them, wanting to get back into different partnerships or wanting to get back into different situations as far as mask mandates and lockdowns. We're not even talking about that stuff. Because from my vantage point, it seems like a lot of people are okay with that. Mm-hmm. Which I can't understand it, but I can't knock you either.
They're okay with it until it happens, and then they gripe about it.
They're okay with that. They're okay with mandatory vaccines. If you're okay with stuff being mandated, if you're okay with, America feeling like China, go right ahead.
If you're okay with your business being destroyed and you being a prisoner in your own home, hey.
If you're okay with that, then more power to you. But I can tell you this: the people who can afford to leave, they will leave.
Exactly.
And then you'll be stuck here with that.
You'll be stuck, and you got to look at the larger things at stake here. Don't wait for it to hit you in the face before you realize, this is not what I wanted.
This is not what I wanted.
Exactly.
And a lot of it is, just because and I see a lot of the social media right now, and the social media for some it's going to be a little painful. And the social media could be a little bit painful and listening to what people are saying and how we got him out and so forth and so on and what we did and how we did it. And it's incredible, for me, because what I'm looking at is I don't see policies being compared.
No.
All I see is, we're going with what the wave of the media said. We don't like this man. He's a liar. and that's the narrative, and he's bad for the country, and that's it.
And we said this before. This is hypnotism. This is hypnotism. Like, when you're not looking at policy, and you're making choices solely based off of a feeling. You're not looking at facts. Yeah. You're being hypnotized.
Yeah,
you're being hypnotized,
and you got to, and people got to break free of that. And again, for the African American vote, from what I'm seeing, even though it was higher for Trump this time out, maybe the highest of any Republican ever.
Yes.
It's still way below the norms of the other demographics. Now, some of that might be because of fraud.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Like, we're sitting here saying, hey, this demographic votes 80% or 90% one way all the time. But maybe because those are the districts that are most wrought with fraud.
Exactly.
Like, did anybody ever consider that?
Might have been going on for a while.
So it could be that these are the areas that are easy to go ballot harvest and do all kind of things, and make it appear like we're a monolithic group and we vote one way, and that might not even be the case.
Exactly. And if you look at the voter turnout in Florida, a lot of minorities in Florida.
Yep.
And Trump handily won that state of Florida. Handily won that state of Florida. The GOP outreach to minorities has been incredible. There's been incredible growth of what they've done. This has become the new party of inclusion.
Right.
And what happened in Florida, statistically, mathematically, should have happened in other states as well, because that's how strong minority outreach was.
Yep.
As you can see, it was clipped in all the battleground states: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. They got clipped. We saw a big lead by Trump taken away in the middle of the night.
Yep.
And no one can believe it. No one can believe it. So you're trying to tell me that Trump, well, just using Pennsylvania as an example, a 700,000 vote lead was erased overnight. And they're saying that
all the ballots came in for
all the ballots came in for Biden.
For Biden.
Look here.
Come on.
Look here, man.
Like,
let's cut the shit.
Come on.
Let's cut the shit.
Like, if you even said, okay, coming out of these districts, that it was even, 70-30?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even if it was that high, 70-30 for Biden, mathematically, he still couldn't have won.
Exactly. He couldn't have won.
Right? But at the end of the day, they say Pennsylvania has a large history of corruption and voter fraud.
Especially in Philadelphia.
Documented.
Mm-hmm.
There's precedence there for that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think what was happening is they've always had evidence of it. I think because it wasn't on a large scale, they didn't go the prosecution route. But now that you're trying to totally upend the process, I think what's going to happen now is that we're going to see some things that we've never seen in history. And I really hope that people are ready. 2020 has been a shitty situation for a lot of people.
Man.
And it's about to get shittier for some folks. And I really hope that folks are able to accept what's going to happen, because if it goes to the Supreme Court, and if Trump wins in the Supreme Court, we don't want to hear that we planned Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death, and we installed Amy Coney Barrett, and we had this orchestrated plan.
The Supreme Court was rigged. No,
the Supreme Court was rigged. Like, we planned for RBG to die.
Nobody knew she was going
to die. It's not some sort of a huge conspiracy of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing with what we're dealing with. So when you see what's happening, I really hope that the other side is going to be able to deal with that. Am I happy with what I'm seeing right now? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. And people have to understand, the Democratic Party of yesteryear was nothing like what we see today.
No, nothing like that.
Nothing like what we see today. This is something else. This is something sinister. This is something that we're former Democrats ourselves. This is something that we can no longer.
Can't ride with it.
We can't ride with it anymore. We can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's not. It's not the party of inclusion.
No,
like it used to be. What we're seeing is a lot of identity politics, right?
Too much.
In some cases, everything is race baiting. Then the cancel culture, the censorship,
the violence.
No, we can't. Like if you disagree with the party, it results in violence.
Yeah, we can't. We can't support that.
Can't support that.
We can't support that. That's crazy. That's crazy. You know?
The name calling, right?
It's gone to incredible levels. I want to touch back on Pennsylvania real quick because I know that's a big flashpoint for what's happened in this election, and it's also on our website. They have identified an anomaly in Pennsylvania where the rejection rate for ballots is 30 times lower than 2016. Normally, ballots go through a vetting process to make sure that they're valid, they're filled out correctly, and there's a threshold for that. Well, that threshold is 30 times lower than 2016. So that should be a red flag already. That there were ballots being pushed through that should not have been pushed through. And right now in the media, social media, there's a large campaign, count every vote. Look, there's a lot of wordplay, word games, semantics at play here with that. When they say count every vote, well, which votes are you talking about?
You can't count every vote.
You can't count every vote.
Some votes are not legal.
Some votes are not legal. You can't count illegal votes. You can't count votes that came in after the deadlines. That's illegal. So no, you can't count every vote. It's bullshit.
You can't count the votes of the deceased. Yeah. You can't count the votes of the people who no longer live in the state.
But that's some slick shit, though. Count every vote. It sounds innocent, right? It sounds such a cause to fight for. Really? Well, take a good hard look. What the fuck you mean by count every vote?
It's the same shit that they use with illegal immigrant versus immigrant, right? If we're against illegal immigration, that means that you're against all immigration. It's not the same.
Psychological mind games.
It's not the same.
Mind games.
And in this game now, you have to really, like you're saying, it's like really have to pay attention to the terms that people are using.
Exactly.
Like, count every vote. You can't count every vote if it does. You can't count every vote if it's not being used properly in a fair election.
Okay.
You can't count every vote if it's against the law for when it was supposed to come in. Election day ends at a certain time. You can't take some from some people. Because if you do that, then if you change the rules, you disenfranchise other people, right?
And what's amazing about that too is like in certain states the deadlines were extended. And think about this: we already have early voting. So with us already having mail-in voting, why are you extending deadlines? You're able to vote early, so what more do you need? Is this election day or election month? Like, how does that work?
Well, with early voting, it can feel like election month.
Yes, it can feel like that.
Right. So nothing should really go past the deadline.
Basically, now early voting. We're not saying it's a bad thing, but when you have early voting in place,
you don't need anything past the deadline. Once the deadline is it, that's what it is.
Why do you need to go past November 3rd if you're allowed to vote from October? What's the problem?
What's the problem?
What's the problem? And it's funny because you'll hear the other side say, "Oh, this is voter suppression," and they're trying to stop the vote. Look, these are the same folks that are also saying, "Look, we don't want voter ID."
It's crazy.
It's crazy,
right? Because if you see what voter ID would do, voter ID would give you an accurate count,
exactly,
and make sure that the voter roll was up to date.
Yes, it would.
That's why you don't want voter ID. You want to use this archaic system of keeping these voter rolls that never get purged, right? Mm-hmm. And then you magically can find ballots in the middle of the night.
Exactly. And then I think we spoke about this before about the difference between mail-in ballots and absentee ballots. Absentee ballots have to be requested, and those in most cases have a signature match. There are a lot of vetting process for absentee ballots, but under the cover of COVID-19, there was a push for these Dem-controlled states to mail out thousands and thousands of unsolicited mail-in ballots with no signature verification.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But when you talk about COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, we got to go there.
Could anything?
We got to go there.
Could any singular event be more orchestrated,
more convenient?
Like when you think about COVID, it was able to do two things to change the complexion of this election. One, it was able to destroy the economy.
Indeed.
Right? So, with the economy running the way it was running, there was no way somebody could lose re-election. Mm-hmm. No way in hell. So you were able to do that. And then now you were able to now turn an election that should have been an in-person election to a mail-in election.
Mail-in election.
Where now mail-in ballots is the easiest way to defraud an election. And now you're going to put out 50 to 80 million ballots and expect this election now to just go like without a hitch.
And they warned about this. And I know people that have told me they've received several mail-in ballots to their house and they live alone. So what do you think happens to those extra ballots when it goes to the crooked side? What do people do?
Yeah,
they're going to harvest them. Yeah. They're gonna put dead voter names on them. They're going to send them in illegally. And guess what? The other side, the liberals, the Democrats, they knew this was going to happen. They knew it was going to happen, but they didn't give a shit because they wanted the chaos that we see today.
That's right. And my issue is that not everyone can take the bad news.
No.
Right? Conservatives got bad news right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, you don't see conservatives tearing down stores. You don't see them burning buildings.
They're all chill.
They're all chilling out. They're waiting for they're waiting for the law to take place. Mm-hmm. But you can guarantee if it was the other way around, the country would be on fire.
Be on fire. Would be on
fire. So you have to ask yourself, it's like, why does an event like this trigger one side this way to violence? And I can only say, the media got you guys. They got those emotional strings on you guys, and you gotta be real clear on what's happening right now.
Exactly. Now, some of our quote unquote foreign allies, I put the word allies in quotes, are smiling about the president-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because they know what that means. That means that it's going to go back to, or it's going to be an attempt to go back to business as usual, which was America last. Huh. Business as usual, America last.
America last. America. Yeah. Like if you're okay with your politicians selling you out, if you're okay with your politicians shipping all of the jobs to other countries, mm-hmm. if you're okay with that,
yeah,
that's fine. But I'm not okay with that.
I'm not okay with that either. We're not, so we don't co-sign none of that shit. Now, on the previous show, we got into details of the Biden scandal with China.
It's crazy.
And again, this is not the stuff of conspiracy. You can look it up. It's real. So, a Biden presidency. What does that mean for our relationship with China?
It means that, essentially China gets whatever they want.
Exactly. To our detriment. And to the American workers' detriment. So you need to be concerned about these things. You need to be concerned about these things.
But it seems like, folks just can't get past certain, personality attributes, mm-hmm. right? And just cannot focus on policy. Mm-hmm. Can't focus on the fact that we've been 4 years without a single war, or folks just can't seem to focus on these things. They can't focus on what's happening with the trade deals and so forth and so on. So, you got a lot of stuff that I think with a Joe Biden presidency that, people will have to really take a look at. But, I guess that's going to be a discussion for another episode because, to really get into what a Joe Biden presidency will. I won't even say a Joe Biden presidency. We should say Kamala Harris because and I know Nancy Pelosi and them have already set it up to him to be removed.
Yeah, the writing's on the wall, folks. The writing's on the wall. Now look, we all know, and look, you can deny as much as you want that something's not right with Joe.
Yeah, Joe's on decline.
Joe's on decline.
You know that. You can see that.
Yes, Joe's on mental decline. Joe's on a mental decline. Something's wrong there.
You got one candidate that was doing 5 rallies in a day, and one candidate that couldn't even muster the energy to do more than one. Yeah. Maybe a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then for, again, for Biden to come in and pull out this win, and there was no enthusiasm out there. You had Trump rallies with literally almost 60,000 people. This is like 30, 40, 50, 60,000 people from coast to coast.
So what the thought is that they say that the enthusiasm is the hatred for him. So the enthusiasm isn't for Biden; it's the hatred.
It's the hatred
for the president, which I don't feel that there's enough warranted hatred for the president. I feel like there is a group that have been hypnotized, like we said, by the media to hate him, to basically avoid anything that may have been done positive, right? So if you don't get any not positive reporting, there's no way for you to really take a real good look at what's being done and how it really impacts you and your family.
Exactly. What I find the most aggravating is how they keep calling this president racist, or trying to put that label on him.
And it's a horrible mind fuck.
Yeah.
It's something that it's really bad how we can see like okay, let's just say, for the sake of the argument,
indeed,
both candidates are racist.
Yeah.
Let's say Joe's racist, and let's say Donald Trump is racist. Right? And we're black men, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Which candidate has legislation that impacts blacks and minorities more than the other? Negatively. On the books.
By a show of hands.
Only one candidate has that.
It's not Trump.
It's not Trump.
It's not Trump.
Right? So for them to be able to flip this narrative to say that, this guy is more racist than the other guy, when the other guy has a long withstanding track record of racist policies against minorities and blacks. Mm-hmm. The joint is incredible to me. But you and I always talk about the Saul Alinsky book, Rules for Radicals.
Indeed.
And this is in the playbook.
That's right. That's what's there.
There is a playbook for this, folks. And if you don't believe us, go read the book.
Yep.
There is a playbook for uprisings. This is the playbook.
There's a script for all of this.
There's a script for this shit.
And it's playing out exactly.
And it's playing out in front of your eyes.
Exactly how it's scripted. That's how it's playing out.
Like this stuff isn't the stuff of, it's not organic. This stuff is manufactured. So for those who are not familiar with it, I say Rules for Radicals, go pick it up, go read it, and then you come back to us and you'll say, oh yeah, you'll see exactly what's going on, almost play for play.
That's what's been happening. Play for play.
So we got all of these different voting machine errors. We got the fraud going.
It's bad. Let's see, in Michigan, they got the software malfunction, and now they're saying that might have happened in 40 something other counties in Michigan. That's going on over there.
You got plenty of that stuff.
No,
you got no poll watchers for the GOP at all.
Milwaukee, more votes than registered voters. This is all on our website as well. How do you get more votes than registered voters?
Again, the fraud is rampant. And, we're going to have to wait and see what the lawsuits come forward and say. I think there's more in these lawsuits that's not being reported.
I think so.
I think the cat is going to come out of the bag once those lawsuits come down, and then once the evidence starts to pile up. I think we're going to have a really, really, really large situation.
I think what can also happen as well. I mean, it might be a stretch, maybe not. I could see, vote totals in particular states being completely thrown out. And would that mean, would they want to do an entire do-over, or will they just say, "Hey, we're gonna just decide this through the court, or who this winner is going to be"? Would they do a do-over? I don't know.
They said the court would never do a do-over. You know, I was watching an interview with Mr. Dershowitz, who tends to be one of the better constitutional attorneys.
Sharp guy.
Yeah. And he was saying that there is no provisions in the Constitution that would allow the Supreme Court to have an election like either voided or redone. So I would go with that. He also was saying that we would, in order for Trump to have a substantive case, he would have to show large areas of fraud,
which I think they have.
Which basically, if he can basically show that fraud is extending the margin of error, or maybe the margin of the difference. Let's say, for example, he's down in Michigan, 20,000 or something like that. I'm not sure if that's the number or not.
But the count is all over the place.
If he's able to show that there's a larger number that would have swayed the election, then they said that the court will basically pay attention to that and not the single instances of fraud, which I think makes sense.
It's messy. And also, another worst case scenario, if it turns out that some electoral college or some projected electoral college votes have been retabulated, and nobody hits the magic number 270,
you got to go to the House.
Then the vote goes to the House of Representatives, where each state, a state caucus is awarded one vote, and Republicans have the advantage. So Trump would be reelected that way. That can happen.
That's if there isn't a Republican coup.
Yeah, indeed, because some of these so-called Republicans out here are not really Republicans. They're rhinos, Republicans in name only. Republicans in name only. So there are a lot of factors that place, man. That kind of,
You know what kills me though is now everyone's talking about, we got to unite the country, blah 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 blah. Accept the fate of the election.
All of a sudden,
you guys went 4 years. You guys ain't trying to unite no country.
4 years of poison.
4 years of poison. Now you got your guy. Your guy gets in. You want all of the vitriol to stop.
We want to unite. We want to be united. Let's heal together, man. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You tried to impeach.
You know what I'm saying? You gave the Russian hoax.
The Russian hoax. Oh my gosh! You said he was a rapist. Oh my gosh! He's a sexual predator. Like he's nonstop. And all of a sudden, let's heal.
Let's heal now.
It's heal.
After you've basically tried to destroy the presidency, and look at everything he got done despite the madness.
Exactly.
Like what if he had a cooperative Congress?
Oh wow,
we'd probably be on the moon 10 times over.
10 times over.
Space Force we'd be terraforming Mars right now. if the guys would just stop fighting this cat the way they were fighting this cat tooth and nail.
Oh my gosh.
But it's because someone said the other day that this president has essentially red pilled us.
Indeed.
And when we say that red pill, meaning that now we've been enlightened to media bias. We've been enlightened to the
orchestrated
censorship. We've been enlightened to the fact that folks just want to control, and that they don't want you to have a free and clear thought.
And enlightened to the fact that things can actually get done. For the people of the United States, if our leaders actually want to do it.
Right. That's probably the largest red pill thing.
Exactly.
Is that, wait a second, the shit that was taking 10 and 15 years to do didn't have to. Like, this shit could have gotten done so quickly, but our Congress and our just refuse to do it.
Refusal.
Yeah, they just wanted to slow walk everything, drain the system dry, run it inefficiently, and he's exposed all of that. He's exposed that Washington has been nothing but gridlock for no reason whatsoever.
No reason at all.
Just petty politics, partisan bullshit, and while that's happening, Americans suffer.
Basically, and they're telling you that populism, nationalism, pride in your country is a bad thing. Patriotism it's a bad thing. That's what they've been telling you.
Telling you to not to love your country.
Basically.
To say that your country is inherently racist, right? Which, hey, we're not saying that it hasn't been built on racism. Let's not
Let's be clear.
Let's be clear. We're not saying that. What we are saying is that there is no place in the world where even us having a podcast with these opinions that this can happen.
Yeah, where else can you do this? Where else can you do what we're doing? You know, like I said, America is not perfect, but guess what? Upward mobility exists for those who want change. It exists. It exists. It exists. You know, so for those that say America is not an exceptional place, America was never great, fuck you, man. Fuck you, man. Cut the shit, man.
Cut the shit.
Cut the shit, man.
Cut the shit.
You know?
We're two guys from the Bronx, man.
Exactly. The American dream
can be obtained.
It can be obtained.
And I think what has to happen is that folks just have to stop, listening to the bullshit. Stop being so naive, right? At the end of the day, I think what we see happening is we're seeing
perpetuation of the victim mentality,
and the removal of critical thinking. Yeah, like your eyes are supposed to deceive you, like kind of like when we looked at this election, we saw the primaries.
Yes, we did.
We saw which candidates were didn't get any delegates. We seen which candidates was rejected by the electorate. For us to believe that this person is the one that they wanted to move the needle to, that's hard to believe.
That's what I can't wrap my head around. Is that remember during the primaries? Remember Kamala turned to Joe Biden, basically called him a segregationist and a racist, basically.
Really, right off top,
into his face, and now you're his running mate. It's all good now. What happened?
Right.
He apologized. He apologized. So magically, all the racism is just gone. And now he's just disappears. Now it's all good now.
And then her race was a failed campaign.
It's failed miserably.
The voters rejected her. Right. So now all of a sudden we see that. So
now she's the one.
She's the one.
I
was like, wow.
Gotta get behind her.
But not for nothing.
It's breaking glass.
Not for nothing. No, with her. I was watching her rise for several years. And when folks say, hey, people are not elected but selected, that's a person that was selected. Like, this is the person that if we're running or was on the top of a ticket could not win.
Yeah. And look, we even go as far as to say Obama too, because he came out of nowhere. This was an unknown senator from Chicago. It came out of nowhere.
By all things considered, he shouldn't have won. Yeah. Right? When we say the fact that he didn't have, no one knew who he was. He didn't have the record of a Hillary Clinton.
He didn't have a record in the Senate. Who he was, right? It was a blank slate candidate. He was selected. They knew they were going to run with this guy.
They knew they were going to run with this guy, and that you were going to have a large swath of the black electorate that was going to go to him, maybe 99%. Right? It was a historic situation. Listen, we were all caught up in it. Let's be clear. Let's not act like we didn't vote for him. We did.
Tribalism. When I say tribalism, I'm talking about Black Americans, the Black American vote. We're just voting because we see another black face. That's gonna destroy us, man.
It's the worst. I think it's the worst. It's the worst thing that I can, and it's because we've been conditioned to see everything through the lens of race.
Exactly.
Everything. So when we see a black candidate or we see someone that looks like us, we immediately are going to gravitate to that person, thinking that they understand the plight of Black Americans and that they have our best interests. Yeah. And it's just not true.
And where this abhorrence of racism exists, then why are we voting like the racists actually do? Because the racists will vote because they want to see others like them. So why are we doing the same shit?
Right, it's reverse.
It's reverse. Like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I'm saying?
It's literally reverse racism, and you guys don't realize.
Oh my gosh! Look,
it's almost as if we said, "Hey, if every white person just voted their white candidate, right, they would never have a chance of a black candidate getting anywhere."
Yeah.
Right, but for us, if they're black candidates, we're going to vote for them, no matter what, over every single other person.
Because when I'm hearing with Kamala Harris, it's like I talk to somebody, we talk to our liberal friends, and what we're hearing is, yeah, she didn't win the primary, and that's not who we wanted, but we got to have the first black woman she's black and there's an automatic thought process that because she's black that she's automatically going to have your best interest at heart, and that is not true.
It's not true. Her record doesn't show you that.
It's not true.
Her record doesn't show that.
These tribalists, you can't have this tribalist mindset when it comes to elections and votes, because you're not going to get what you thought you bought.
Let's just wait for the court cases, man.
Oh, man.
Let's just wait for the court cases.
Oh, man.
Like, that's all you can do at this point is just wait for the court cases and see what's going to happen.
I know all the court cases aren't going to get through.
Right.
There's some that are going to get through. And the reason why I say that, some will not get through on the merits. Others will not get through because it depends, in whose court that case lands in. Because if it lands in an activist judge's court, then guess what's going to happen?
It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere, and that's why the having a full Supreme Court is important, because at the end of the day, that's where a lot of this might end up. And I'm confident enough to say, this is my opinion. I'm pretty sure, Jug, you feel the same way I do about it. I don't see, from the majority view, activist judges on the Supreme Court. You might have a couple in there, but not a majority.
It's not as prevalent.
Exactly.
There, I think there is activism,
but it's tempered. Exactly.
Like, I think when things really, really have the fabric of the nation at hand, I think that they rule appropriately.
Exactly.
Right. And, folks would feel like some of the stuff in the Constitution is antiquated and it shouldn't be followed like the way it is. But you got to realize that this is what's made our nation.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
This is really what it is at this point. Yeah. Ultimately, I think it goes to the Supreme Court. Honestly, I think the evidence of fraud has been. I think they've
overwhelming.
I think they've had it. The one thing about this president is he always seems to have like the play.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to have the Ukraine situation on play, but he had the transcript.
Exactly.
He always seems to have the play. So he kind of knows what they're going to do before they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been talking about this voter fraud shit for months.
I think he had a hope that they wouldn't take it there.
I think he was.
And we all did. Please don't do this.
He was baiting them.
Yeah, don't do this.
Like, try it, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to still campaign hard.
Mm-hmm.
We want to have a good election, free and clear. Right? You guys keep pushing this mail-in ballot shit when you knew all along you can vote in person, and all of a sudden the CDC comes out with it 2 days before the election.
Oh, yes.
Oh, you motherfuckers could vote in person.
Yeah. Did we talk about that last time?
Man, listen.
The CDC came out in the 11th hour.
Yeah, and said that you can vote in person.
It said if you have COVID, you can come out of quarantine. If you have COVID, you can come out of quarantine to vote. So what happened to the lockdown? So you come out of quarantine, it's okay now?
It's okay. So
are you fucking kidding me, man? Come on, man.
It's
crazy.
It's the classic bullshit.
Oh my God, man.
When he said initially that it was a hoax, he wasn't saying that the disease was a hoax. He was saying that the reaction to it,
the hysteria
behind it, the things that you're asking us to do for this thing, it's overblown, and it was all being orchestrated to get to this particular moment, to make sure that we had all of these fucking ballots mailed in so that they can defraud the fucking election. But let me tell you something. I'm confident that this joint is going to go through the court. Shit going to get flipped. And people's heads are going to explode.
It's going to be some shit. That's our prediction.
That's going to be our prediction.
Hide your kids.
Because the shots
up your
coming.
house.
Okay. Folks are going to go crazy on the left side.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, you're going to see levels of violence that you've never seen before.
When they started, when the media elected Biden, he's the president and Kamal's the vice president. They're giving the speeches and shit like that. I'm looking at shit like, man, if this shit flips back, man, it's gonna be some shit. Like, why are you guys doing this?
Like,
what are you doing?
You guys are literally setting the country up for
fucking fire.
Yeah, like you guys are setting up a civil war to a degree. Like you guys are gaslighting this shit because and I know this shit is going to court. And I know that the same media sources that we're reading, right? You guys are in the media. You guys can see the same reports, so you guys should be more responsible in not making sure that you're putting out this level of information to say that this is the president-elect to basically get one side's hopes up. And then when they're let down, this is the side of violence now. This is the side that's been burning the cities for all summer, right? Mm-hmm. So why would you want to create this kind of situation? If anything, what you're supposed to have done is you're supposed to keep it more tempered, right? Keep it in the center. Say, hey, look, he looks like he could win, but everything is not tallied up yet. Don't celebrate yet, and kind of get folks ready for the letdown.
I kind of think in a bizarre kind of way that the establishment media, that they want to deliberately create this powder keg.
Yes,
because it's going to feed the news cycle when there's this explosive violence that occurs afterwards.
I would hate to think that the whole thing is about creating this. It's
dangerous.
Creating this news cycle for the sense of profit. Because that's what it seems like to me. Yeah. It seems like this was the best narrative to go to kind of keep the news cycle going, mm-hmm. and to create this level of tension or this soap opera drama for ratings.
Yeah, it's a dangerous thing. It's a dangerous gamble for them to take.
And let's not even talk about what's happening with Fox. Because from what I'm seeing, folks said they're basically going to stop watching Fox altogether.
And Fox was supposed to be the last bastion of
conservative news.
And they've also, I'll give it to them. They've been even as a conservative news source, they've been critical as well. So they've been kind of edging toward the middle, like right there, center right, which isn't too bad. So even if you're not a conservative, you can still watch Fox and still get some information there. But now it seems like they just do everything to the wind. They said, fuck it. We're just gonna go full blast on some fuckery, and we're not gonna call the elections as we see them. And they just started pedaling backwards.
It's crazy right now.
So we don't know what the hell is going on, but
it's crazy right now. It's something that we're gonna have to watch. I think we also have on the site that there's a conservative competitor to Facebook coming out.
Yes.
It's called USA Life, and what you're probably going to find is you're going to find a large exodus from social media. Mm-hmm. Folks are going to start coming off of social media because the censorship.
It's bad.
The censorship is out of control. It's out of control. Like if you have a dissenting view,
you're out of there.
You're out of there, and it's just not right the way that these organizations are being able to
muzzle you,
really rewrite history, man, right in front of your face.
Muzzle you, deplatform you, shut you down.
Right, and then we also were talking about how the Internet Archive can be basically it's going to wind up getting fact checked. so if you got old old articles and stuff that don't meet a certain level of criteria, these guys are going to fact check it or remove it altogether. Or
it's Orwellian, man.
What we're watching right now,
the Ministry of Truth, man.
So it's a lot. It's a lot to a lot to swallow on this one, But we're going to watch it closely. We're going to basically be trying to drop the content. Weekly. Sundays look like it's going to be, or Sundays or Mondays, right?
Somewhere around there. Yeah. But check the site back often. Yeah.
The site is updated daily with no problem
throughout the day.
But you definitely want to make sure that you're looking and you're seeing what's going on. Remember, this stuff is going to be, a lot of this news is going to be buried.
Exactly.
And I see Google and a lot of these other large technocratic companies basically burying these things. Like I want to call it Alex being Alex Jones.
Yeah, because
like almost scrubbed from every platform.
Exactly. This is communist shit, people. This is communist shit. You gotta fucking pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on out here. You know,
it's folks taking your information and making it unavailable for you to see, so you can't even make an educated decision.
Exactly. So we're gonna try to bring you the news that you normally wouldn't see that's being blacked out. We're trying to put that all out there so you can read and learn and know what's going on. www.breezebullies.com. That's BreezeBullies. breezebullies.com. Follow us on Twitter at Breeze Bullies. Follow us on Instagram at Breeze Bullies.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. And we'll be back soon because the dust hasn't settled yet. We're going to find out.
Right, the lawsuits come in tomorrow.
The lawsuits are coming in tomorrow. It's going to be a contentious couple of weeks until this election is fully certified, and we're going to see what's going to happen next.
And when the lawsuits come in tomorrow, the lawsuit should be detailed in what the fraud is.
Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I hope that folks are ready.
Exactly. Be ready
because there is going to be some uproar.
It's going to be some shit going on out there.
Yeah. I hope folks are ready because folks right now, they're dancing in the street. They're dancing in the street. I was like, okay, you keep dancing in the street for the.
Going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth, I tell you.
At the same time. So,
we'll
wait and we'll see what it is. But it's the Breeze Bullies, y'all. Until next time.
Till next time. Check us out. BreezeBullies.com. Talk to you soon.